Hey there, we know the drill, make sure the audio's included.
Yep, I'm all included.
Excellent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Fraser McKenzie here, and welcome to the start of tonight's special anniversary week action for the Extreme Racing League. As always, we start off with the big boys in X1, and joining me for the first time in a number of weeks, it is none other than Mr. Matt Anderson. Matt, welcome back to the commentary box.
Hello, yeah, great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, I trust you've been able to watch some of the races over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I've been involved in like family calls and stuff, but I've had the stream on in the background, so I've been following the action. It's been quite a spicy season. The Drivers' Championship has really been heating up.
Yeah, it is definitely heating up. It's definitely a 3-horse race for the championship, and talking of which, we'll get into the standings shortly as the drivers are readying up. Anthony Waddington in the stream chat saying great to see Bossman back. But anyway, so you mentioned the championship, so let's get into the championship standings before we run through who is going to be in this evening's race. The Drivers' Championship, as always, let's get started with that. Phillip Nilson, 20-point lead over Anthony Bauer at the top of the championship, following his third win in a row, last time out in Japan. Anthony Bauer second in the championship. He's 9 points ahead of Anthony Waddington. So even if Waddington wins and takes the fastest lap today, it's not going to result in him taking the lead in the championship. He may take second place, providing Bauer doesn't finish any higher than third. Chris Harley alongside Arthur Bowler, 141 and 139 respectively, opting to wear the Mexican flag this evening. How appropriate, like I say, given the fact that this is today marks 1 year to the day Extreme Racing League was created. It initially started as Latin American Racing League, and you can check out the article. You can check out that article on the on our fantastic first edition of the XRL magazine. We've got a couple of interviews in there with one with Michael Booker and one with Jonathan Lilly, and we've got Aaron Knight as well, giving us a recap of the Japanese Grand Prix for the X3 races. He is the commentator for X3, and lo and behold, it is raining here in Mexico. How's about that? Constructors' Championship now, and Red Bull, they won't wrap the Constructors' Championship up today, but they could wrap it up next week in the USA at the very earliest. Red Bull 397, Racing Point 320, 205 for Mercedes, 157 for Ferrari, 150 for Renault. Toro Rosso still at the bottom of the pack with 77 points. It's definitely been a season to forget for them. But we've got Griffin here, first man out on track. So let's go through the roster for tonight. For Mercedes, we have got Arthur Bowler and Elijah LeBlanc. For Ferrari, we've got JBL and Dean Barry, Anthony Bauer and Anthony Waddington. For Red Bull, Chris Harley and Michael Booker. For Renault, Ivan and Oliver Sonen. For McLaren, Jack Smith and Matt Piclou for Haas. Cesar Lopez, the boss, is in action for his home race today. How's about that? He definitely wasn't going to be missing that opportunity. And Phillip Nilson, his teammate as well. Phillip Nilson not taking part in qualifying, so he'll be starting at the back of the grid, assuming nobody gets any grid penalties. And I've been informed by Michael Booker that Griffin is going to be serving a qualifying ban. So there we go, he just went for an out lap to get his setup finalised. So there he goes, retires from the session. He is one of our championship contenders, Anthony Bauer, Toro Rosso, Irving Diaz, and Jorge Simon. Griffin I've mentioned for Alfa Romeo, his teammate Owen Lewis, and Hanil Patel and Callum MacArthur for Williams. So let's ride on board with Anthony Bauer. First flying lap of qualifying, moves the slowest 4 cars here. Well, slowest 3 since Griffin serving a qualifying ban. I've had the weather forecast from Michael Booker. He's been on top of his game as always with the weather forecast. A mix of wet and dry qualifying, and it's going to be a full wet race. Definitely not what Phillip Nilson will be wanting in his hunt for the championship. He was X2 champion last season. He'll be hoping to go one better here, but of course we've got defending champion Anthony Waddington in action. He'll be out with a point to prove, because last season he had an epic battle with Owen Lewis for the X1 championship, and with track penalties taken into account, Anthony Waddington won the championship at this track last season.
Can you believe that weather forecast, eh?
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, definitely not something Phillip Nilson will be wanting, but he has shown that he does have good race pace in all conditions this season. 26.9 for Anthony Bauer, first man across the line.
I suspect quite a few of the drivers are maybe not having a full wet setup for this track, because it's not necessarily a track you think of and think of wet conditions.
That is true, but we have seen how unpredictable the conditions can be. And Jeff LeBlanc, an absolute superstar, has subscribed to our Twitch account with his Twitch Prime subscription. Jeff, you are an absolute star. Thank you very much for the subscription. That is really appreciated. So even though Waddington's quite a long way behind in the championship, Matt, do you think he'll still be able to put on a good show to try and keep the title fight going until the last race of the season?
Yeah, so I think he's I think this is a track that he's been struggling with. I've been practicing with him a little bit during the weekend. I think he won't mind me saying that it's not a track that he's 100% comfortable on, but you never know with Waddington. He's quite well known for just pulling a result out when it looks like it's all lost, so I certainly wouldn't count him out.
And of course, Waddington actually managed to win the championship after starting at the back of the grid, serving a qualifying ban for an incident in Japan. DRS enabled, here we go. Now the dry tyres are going to start coming into play. This is going to be interesting. So those that are out on intermediates now, they're probably going to be thinking, right, DRS enabled, let's switch to the dry tyres. But Waddington playing smart, he hasn't gone out yet. Playing very smart, and it looks like he's going... what tyres is he going to go for? But Owen Lewis, 28.0. Let's see what Hanil Patel can do in the Williams. I want to say a big thanks to Cesar Lopez for supplying me with the official Extreme Racing League shirt, which I am wearing for tonight, and I will be wearing it for the. I will also be wearing it for the Extreme Racing League Awards, which will take place in about a month's time. I still need to get started on the X1 highlight reels, but with the races being 50%, hopefully I shouldn't have too much trouble trying to get the highlight reels put together. But with the number of action-packed races we've had throughout this season, it's going to be interesting to see what gets cut from the final highlight reel. But nevertheless, as all the drivers starting to come in now, a few others starting to rev up. Who is coming out? And
the track has dried up very, very quickly.
Absolutely. So all the drivers are definitely coming in to get their tyres changed. And we've got Miler Time saying, "Go get your swag, people. Mine's on its way." Yes, I've just posted a link to the. I've just posted a link to the XRL shop, and I've just noticed today that we have some brand new merch in store as well. Not only do we have our t-shirts and mugs and our partners over at the Limit Racing League, where they've got their own shirts as well. We've got hoodies, we've got fleece pullovers, we've got we've even got sports shorts, we've got flat caps, we've got stickers, and we even have phone cases as well. So that's great to see. We've got so much merch in the store now. The phone cases, the bubble-free stickers, the flat caps, shorts, jumpers, hoodies, and of course your shirts and mugs. It is, and let me tell you, having a look on the store right now, they look fantastic. And I will say this as well, wearing the I'm wearing the XRL shirt right now, and it is really comfortable. It feels great, and can't wait for the Champions shirt to come through whenever that is gonna be. Gregor Telford, of course you'd say that. Of course you'd say that. But yeah, anyway. Let's have a look. Yep, there's Waddington. Let's ride on board with him. He is... And you can definitely see how dry the track has become as we're riding on board with Waddington the boss, Lopez on his outlap. And of course the optimum strategy here around this track is mediums to hards or hards to mediums. Irving Diaz, 118.0, one of 3 Mexican drivers here this evening. Him, Jorge Simon, and of course the boss, Caesar. And Waddington, how's about that? A 1:16.7. Let's see if anybody can top that. Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the boss in action. And Jeff saying in the chat, I guess we're going to start advertising on your channels now, or are we going to behave yourself? Or are you going to behave yourself? You've got to love the banter in the stream chat sometimes. Interestingly, Anthony Bauer electing to stay in the pits for now. It's interesting, but hey ho. Anyway, coming into the stadium section, and I can guarantee you that every time Caesar, Irving, or Jorge go through that stadium section, there is just going to be a lot of noise from the home fans. And a 60. Whoa! Hello, Cesar Lopez. Where did that lap come from? 1:16.0. A full 3/4 of a second faster than Waddington. Where in the blue blazes did Cesar Lopez pull that lap from? It's a spectacular lap. And what? What? And Jorge Simone puts the Toro Rosso fastest to 15.5. And Arthur Bowler 15.0.
Yeah, track's really dried up now. Pretty much back on pace.
Mile time saying it'll be in the 1:14s. That wouldn't surprise me. Dean Barry 15.7.
I know both Arthur and Ollie are well capable of going into the mid-14s. Bauer as well.
Yeah, Oliver Sonnen 15.3. Got Hanil Patel now. He's gonna encounter a little bit of traffic on his flying lap. As Alexei Milettime saying it'll be in the 1:14s. Could we end up seeing a 1:14 here in this first part of qualifying? There we go, purple sector 1 for Hanil Patel. Gone through the S's now, another purple sector, sector 2. The traffic getting out of the way into the stadium section. Just under 3 minutes to go in this first part of qualifying. A 15.4 for Hanil Patel. That's a great lap from him. Let's see what Bauer can do. He's already 3 seconds up on his
he's flying.
Just being careful not to run too wide. There we go. That's
Lewis jumps into third.
That's Owen Lewis 15.4, 3 thousandths ahead of Patel. That's a very fast time from last year's runner-up. But Anthony Bauer, look at this. What a lap he's pulling out here.
Gonna be quick.
Is he going to get into the 40s? No, not quite. A 15.2 only puts him second.
JBL just about to cross the line.
15.7 for JBL goes 9th. Chris Harley, the only driver yet to set a lap time. And oh, there we go. There's your 1:14. Arthur Bowler, 14.7. And Oliver Sonnen retiring from the session. He'll be very happy with his lap time. That's a staggering lap. And Piklu retiring from the session. He's happy with his time. Chris Harley, kaboom, 15.6. I mean, look at that. Bauer down to JBL, only separated by half a second. This is definitely going to be a fun battle to watch today. And then, of course, we've got Phillip Nilson to take into the equation with a potential charge through the field to potentially extend his lead in the championship. And Waddington in danger of being eliminated in Q1. Not the first time that's happened this season.
Yeah, Booker jumps above him.
That is very concerning there.
He's on the bubble.
That is very concerning here.
Ivan's in the stadium section and he's 3 temps up.
Ivan doesn't have much to make up. He's only make up.
Any improvement's probably going to be enough.
Absolutely. He comes across the line and he does, and Ivan knocks Waddington out. Well, that's definitely something you don't see every day.
Waddington might be P18 here.
Yeah, and
Both
I was about to say,
drivers are improving.
Yeah, because Jack Smith, he's already 3/10 up on his lap. And there we go! Callum MacArthur, where did he land? He landed 11th, 15.9.
This track has evolved right at the very end here.
I think Waddington will be a little disappointed with himself with that. But we've seen recovery drives from him in the past, and there you go, P18. That's a huge shocker there. So it's Jack Smith, Michael Booker, and Anthony Waddington, along with Griffin, out in Q1. But the biggest stories of the day so far is Waddington is going to be at the back of the grid with Phillip Nilson.
It's going to be fun to watch him come through, though.
Absolutely. You can see the clouds starting to clear up as well.
Owen Lewis is DNF'd. He's retired his car.
Oh, wait, what? What happened?
Owen Lewis has got a tyre missing from his car.
Oh my! How on earth did he do that? How on earth did he manage that?
I didn't catch it, I just... he was already in that position when I got there. It looks like we've had 2 cars DNF actually. Smooth has retired his car as well.
Wow, how's about that? So we've lost 6 drivers in this first part of qualifying. Owen Lewis, Elijah LeBlanc, Jack Smith, Michael Booker, Waddington, and Griffin. The top 2 in the championship last season. The top 2 in the championship last season out in Q1. And we're just hearing from Michael Booker as well that Elijah's AI ended up getting tangled up with Owen Lewis. That is bizarre. That's definitely one of the more bizarre incidents that we've seen this season.
Yeah, it's something hopefully they can iron out with the new game. We're not too far away now.
Yeah, we're only about 6 weeks away from the new game coming out. It won't be till the end of July before Season 4 gets underway, because we're going to give the drivers a couple of weeks to get used to the new game. Of course, I've got my pre-order in place for the Schumacher edition. It's just a shame I won't be able to get a physical copy of the game, so I can get another steel bookcase added to my collection. But nevertheless, here we go. Oliver Sonnen, first man out out on track into Q2. Strategy going to come into play here, and like I said during the first part of qualifying, optimum strategy, you're probably looking somewhere for like mediums to hards or hards to mediums realistically, because the soft tyres, They do not last long round here, especially with the high altitude.
Yeah, tyre wear's a real issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it's definitely an issue just for the main contributing factor is the fact that the high altitude that causes the tyre wear to be a lot higher than it normally is. But those that will be starting on the soft tyres are already going to be at a major disadvantage. Those on the mediums should be okay.
If you start on the mediums, you've very much committed to the 2-stop.
Absolutely. So we're gonna have a quick scan at the statistics. It's Pete Polini, who is racing in X2. He was the man that was on pole last season here in Mexico, and he went on to take the race. He went on to take the race win. But so hopefully he'll be able to take that momentum into his X2 race tonight. Yeah, Arthur Bowler again into the 114s. Oliver 15.2, 15.7 for Harley. Got a few more drivers coming across now. Anthony Bauer 16.2. So yeah, at the very earliest. With 4 races left, at the earliest, USA could be where we see where the USA's could be where we could see both championships being wrapped up at the earliest, especially the Constructors' Championship, because I think it's going to be a case of when, not if, Red Bull win the Constructors' Championship. They haven't won it since 2013. Interestingly, that's 7 years ago now, when they were in that dominant spell with Sebastian Vettel. And it looks like, lo and behold, we've actually got a Twitch user called Kenzie Fan Club. Someone's obviously a fan of my commentary. It says, "Do commands work here?" I know they do for well, that's the thing with the commands. We haven't actually used commands for the XRL yet, but I'm sure if we can get someone to help us with the commands, we'll be able to get something sorted out, so you guys can check the statistics, championship standings, points, who's racing this evening, among other things. And Bowler faster again, a 14.73. Let's see what the boss can do. 16.2. just Holgate, Dean Barry and Callum MacArthur yet to set a lap time. Two purple sectors for Dean Barry so far. Will that translate into a strong lap time? And Dean Barry, there we go, 15-1. That puts him second. Waddington saying in the stream chat, saying, struggling through the S's just like yesterday, will be happy taking a point in this race. Which then could mean realistically Waddington gets picked out of the championship hunt realistically, but you never know.
It's a full weight race, that anything can happen.
Absolutely. Callum MacArthur, the only driver yet to set a lap time now. But it's JBL, Ivan and MacArthur that are in the drop zone, and MacArthur, that's interesting. Oh, he's in the pits. He's invalidated his lap. Let's see who else is on a lap. Oh, what? Bauer gonna have another crack at the whip. And Arthur Bowler retiring from the session. He'll be very comfortable with his lap time. Yeah, just a quick heads up, Matt. Waddington saying, Waddington didn't mind. He didn't mind you mentioning that Waddington does struggle around this track.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bogey track for a lot of us.
Absolutely. Les Waddington across the line, 15-3, puts him 6th.
Yeah, should get him through.
Bauer slowing all the way down to let Hanil Patel through. Patel's 15-0, that puts him 2nd. So it looks like the top 10 are going to be starting on soft tyres, so that puts them at a pretty big disadvantage here.
It's a full wet race, so it probably doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, that is true.
It does make you wonder if the drivers having a go at qualifying on mediums, if they've realised that it's a full wet race.
Another commentator mistake on my part that that Bauer just silly. Bauer, not me, Kenzie. Oh, dear me, yeah. So it turns out, yeah, just backing up your point there, Matt. Waddington saying that Bauer does struggle around this track as well.
Yeah. I know it's not one of his favourites.
Yeah. Oh, Michael Booker saying, dumbass Waddle, you love being next to me. Oh dear. There's, like I say, there's like great banter from the drivers. And Bauer saying I'd be in the 114th if I didn't have a wet setup on. Well, that puts Bauer already at an advantage. Who's next? Yeah, so let's see what the boss can do. He invalidated his last lap. It was a 16.8. Lol, see you in the pits with 3 wheels. Oh boy. Looks like things are starting to get a bit heated between Booker and Waddington, given the fact they're going to be starting practically side by side on the grid. Well, they are going to be starting side by side. They're going to be starting on the same row. We haven't seen any track penalties yet, but Holgate is retired from the session. Bowers retired from the session. Let's see what Caesar can do. Is he improving on his time? He's a quarter of a second up. That could very well see him into the top 10. And comes across the line, and where did that come from? He only goes and pulls the rabbit out of the hat. 15.4.
Penko and Ollie both into the 14s as well there. Jumped up into second and third.
That's 3 drivers into the 114s today. JBL's on an out lap. JBL's on a flying lap. Ivan's on a flying lap as well. Irving Diaz retiring from the session, so we've just lost our first participant in Q2. Don't think Ivan's going to be improving on his lap time, but hey, you never know. Callum MacArthur coming through the stadium section.
Nearly did a Bottas.
And across the line, 16.3. It's an okay lap time, but it doesn't... It's enough to move him off the bottom for now, but it's not enough to get him in 10. And he's back
Ivan's
out.
just taken a trip on the grass as well. He's not going to improve.
So there we go. Irving Diaz, Callum MacArthur, and Ivan, they are all out of Q2. So it's Arthur Bowler, Matt Piclu, Oliver Sonin, Hanil Patel, Dean Barry, Jorge Simone, JBL, Anthony Bauer, Cesar Lopez, and Chris Harley all into the top 10. Irving Diaz just missing out by about 0.3 of a second. But on a plus note, we have 2 Mexican drivers in the top 10 for their home race. So we're going to head into the top 10 shootout shortly. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that's going to stop Arthur Bowler from getting pole position today.
All a question of who's fully leaned into the wet setup. Because I think mid-14 suggests maybe they've not got a overly safe wet setup, so they might get a decent qualifying position then suffer for it in the race.
But of course, one thing we've got to bear in mind is with those that have set slower lap times, like Waddington, I would imagine he has gone through a wet setup as well, which will explain why he didn't get into the latter parts of qualifying, which could actually work to his advantage because he'll be more suited to the wet weather conditions.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to find out about 4 or 5 laps into the race, anyone that's put a dry setup on, because certainly Sector 2 is going to be just an absolute nightmare if you haven't got enough rear wing on the car.
Absolutely. So it's just
this is a very tricky track in the dry, isn't it? So
yeah. Matt Piclou is the only driver yet to head out onto the track. It's Oliver Sonin again, just like in Q2, first man out, on track to get a flying lap in.
Chris Harley was right on the gearbox of Arthur Bowler through the first sector. I think it's effective in coming into the hairpin.
Now that could be interesting, trying to get a tow from Bowler. And Piclou is out on track now. He's behind one of the Ferraris. But nevertheless, Oliver Sonin coming through the stadium section now. Just a couple of corners to go. Accelerating and across the line. And, lap invalidated, interestingly. That was going to be a 16.4, but it's a 15.3 for Chris Harley. 14-0 for Hanil Patel. He's fastest at the moment. Going through the stadium section now, and Dean Barry 15-0-2-1. And Bauer back into the pits. See what Jorge can do.
Very scrappy through those S's.
But of course, you'll have the roar from the crowd to guide him through the stadium section, and he's into the pits. Don't blame him. And you said it right there. Messy through the S's. Definitely not ideal. And all of a sudden, 15.
So close.
Oh my word. 027. 6,000.
Front three.
6 thousandths away from taking provisional pole.
It's only 300ths between the top three.
Definitely going to make things interesting between them. No, Sonen's out of fuel. That's not going to help him getting back to the pits. And here's Arthur Bowler. He hasn't set a lap time yet, but he's a man on a mission. Four minutes to go. Dean Barry still on pole.
Alpha Bowlers, purple sector 2. A little bit scrappy, but it still looks quick.
And he comes across the line. 14.7. There we go. Fat lap from Bowler. But you've got to think he could be at a disadvantage with the setup he has. And Piccolo 14.9. Things are definitely getting interesting now. Lopez is out. Harley is out. One of the Ferraris coming out on track. I'm sure it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be JBL because he hasn't set a lap time yet. And no, it's actually Dean Barry. And JBL coming out now. Bauer and Holgate haven't set a lap time yet either. But as I see that, everyone else coming back out onto the track. Lopez going to have one last crack at getting a good starting position for this race. Got a lot of traffic to get through though. Patel and the Ferraris on outlaps. I think Ball has started another flying lap. And interestingly, as far as constructors' polls are concerned, Ferrari are one of the teams that haven't managed to score a pole position yet. And interestingly, neither have Alfa Romeo. Nevertheless, Lopez across the line, doesn't quite improve on his time. He's going to have one last crack at the lap. Dean Barry always a 10th up in sector 1. Could put the brakes on there. Baller's party. And Baller's done all he can. 30 seconds to go. Piclou's in the pits. He'll be more
Great
than
lap
happy
from
with
Chris Harley there.
14.9, that puts him second. And it was a purple sector 2 for Dean Barry. That's definitely a good sign. Can he pull out all the stops here? He's turned it up. 14.7 to beat, and oh my word! 14.76. Doesn't quite get it. And Bauer left it way too late. He's on an outlap, but he's not going to get a lap in. It's all falling apart for the championship contenders. But nevertheless, here comes Jorge Simone. But unless he can pull it out of the bag here, 15.1 puts him 7th. I don't think we're going to see any more improvements from anybody.
Oh, what a lap.
As I say that, Oliver Sonnen, where did that come from? 14.3. And that, I believe,
I think that'll do it. Yeah.
I believe that's his. I believe that's his first X1 pole. Where in the blue blazes did Oliver Sonnen pull that from?
Incredible.
And that is McLaren's first pole position since Abu Dhabi last season. So that's your top 10. Oliver Sonnen, Arthur Bowler, Dean Barry, Chris Harley, Matt Piclou, Hanil Patel, Jorge Simone, Cesar Lopez, JBL, and Anthony Bauer. And heads up. Yeah, there's a little bit of debate in the stream chat as to whether Ollie actually had a wet weather setup or not. But whatever setup he had, that's a blistering lap.
Yeah, I suspect he's not got a lot of ripping on the car.
Well, I see. There's your top 10. That's a staggering lap. Also, because Michael Booker's saying it was a wet weather setup, but Anthony Bauer's saying there's no way it was a wet weather setup. Booker responding, I know it is. So it looks like Oliver Sonnen got Michael Booker's setup. Well, that's interesting.
Well, that's the setup I've been using this week, so I can confirm it is a very good setup.
And if that's the case, you gotta think Oliver's in a prime position to take his first X1 win. And there is the rain as we... There we go, we got... So nevertheless, it is round 18 of the Extreme 1 Division Championship for the Extreme Racing League. We are here in Mexico City, founded by the Aztecs in 1325, and it's the oldest capital city in North America. And it is, of course, the home of the boss of the Extreme Racing League, Mr. Cesar Lopez. It's a great circuit here. 2.67 miles, 3 DRS zones, 17 corners to negotiate, 7 to the left, 10 to the right. They'll be a little trickier in these wet weather conditions today, but watch out for these 2 action zones. There'll be a lot of action through turns 1 through 3, especially the battle between Vettel, Verstappen and Hamilton in 2017, and then you've got turns 4 and 5, Bottas and Raikkonen in 2015. But not that these tyres are going to mean much, but the dry weather tyres that we've got are the C4 for the soft, the C3 for the medium, and the C2 for the hard. But like I say, not that that's going to mean much because we're all starting on wet weather tyres. But anyway, you're looking at around about 21 to 22 seconds to make your pit stop around this track to maintain position on track. So here's the starting grid then. Everyone starting on intermediate. It is Oliver Sonnen on pole position for the first time in X1. That's a fantastic lap from him at the end of qualifying. And then you've got Arthur Bowler, the first of the drivers wearing the Mexican flag this evening. Then you've got Dean Barry, great performance from him in third. Chris Harley, the second Mexican flag wearing driver in fourth. Then you've got Matt Piclou in fifth. Hanil Patel, he'll be very happy with that. He's been very strong with that Williams in qualifying all season in sixth. Then you've got an all-Mexican fourth row. Jorge Simon ahead of the boss, Cesar Lopez. Then you've got JBL and Anthony Bauer rounding up the top 10. Bauer, interestingly, not able to set a lap time in Q3. Then you've got Irving Diaz, Callum MacArthur, followed by Ivan and Owen Lewis. Owen Lewis ended up with a massive shunt with Elijah LeBlanc, who's behind him on the grid. And then you got Jack Smith. And then Michael Booker ahead of our defending champion, Anthony Wallington. Then you got Griffin in 19th. And at the back of the grid, didn't take part in qualifying, Phillip Nilson, our championship leader. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Definitely going to be interesting to see how Nilson and Waddington carve their way through the field. So here we go. Anthony Bauer, the first of the drivers to ready up. We're expecting a very chaotic affair in these wet weather conditions.
Yeah, this could be a pretty crazy start.
But of course, as we're getting to ready up, you guys know what's next. 36 laps of this incredible circuit. It's seen its fair share of action with the Formula E races, but this is Formula One. Here come the lights, and when they go out, it'll be race time in Mexico. The lights did not stay on for very long at all, and Arthur Bowler already had a great start. Dean Barry's had a horrific start, and so has Oliver Sonen, our pole sitter. Very poor start from the front of the grid, but Phillip Nilson not off to the best of starts. But Anthony Waddington, where in the blood blazes is he coming from? And oh my word! As I say that, he's dropped a couple of places, but my word, what a start from Anthony Waddington! Goodness me, chaotic affair, and it's all falling apart for those that started at the front, especially Oliver Sonen. He was on pole, he's now down to 6th. But a horrific start for Dean Barry as well, was 3rd down to 11th. And Waddington, what a start he had, 18th up to 12th. Phillip Nilson starting to carve his way through the field slowly but surely as well. Callum MacArthur lost a couple of places off the start as well. He dropped 7 places. Owen Lewis, he's had a good start. He gets past the side by side with the boss. The boss keeps position. Oh, and he's dropped a couple of places. Waddington takes advantage. See you later, guys. I'm after the race win, he says. That start from Waddington beggars belief. 9 places off the start, and you said it at the top of qualifying. Don't count out Waddington. This is why you do not count out Waddington, especially if he's the defending champion, which he is. Griffin and Lopez into the pits. Nilson battling with Elijah. Nilson carving his way through the field. He's up to 15th already. Bauer getting past Irving into 7th. That is a staggering start from Waddington, though. I bet he didn't. I think. Yeah, Jeff LeBlanc saying Waddington biggest winner off the start. Yeah, he's not joking. Matt Peeklu, meanwhile, gets ahead of Chris Harley into 2nd place. And Hanil Patel gets ahead. Anthony Waddington now into 8th. Irving Diaz plummeting through the field. Oh, it's on the exit of the S's. And he's lost an end plate. Oh, it's all fallen apart so quickly for the hometown heroes. It's all fallen apart so quickly. Arthur Bowler, another fastest lap, 28.5.
JBL's had a good start as well.
Yeah, he's up into 5th. Great start from him.
Yeah, he's going well.
I'll say, how many places did he gain off the start? He's up 4 places. Phillip Nilson, meanwhile, he's managed to get into 13th place. He's got another couple of places. Oliver Sonen, he's plummeting down the order. Bauer up to 6th. Waddington is going to be bearing down on him. But Arthur Bowler, look at that. He's already pulled out a 4-second lead, and that gap's still growing. While Waddington is closing in on Sonen, meanwhile.
Dean Barry's all over the back of the way.
Bauer in Bauer. Oh! Bauer tried to get past JBL, but JBL having none of it. Phillip Nilson still 13th, but he is starting to close in on the rest of the field. Dean Barry battling with Ivan. Definitely been an accident. Oh my word, Dean Barry's in the wall! Oh my word. It's all fallen apart so quickly for Dean. He started 3rd and he's now down in 17th. Where did it all go wrong? But a little further ahead. Deja vu of last season. Waddington has got Owen Lewis, his championship rival from last season, right behind him. This is going to be an interesting battle. Lewis trying to go around the outside, heading into the stadium section, but Waddington having none of it. Irving Diaz, first penalty of the day. And now Waddington starting to pull away from Lewis. He tries he might, he can't figure out how to get close to Oliver Sonnen. Phillip Nilson up into 12th meanwhile. Looks like the gap is starting to close now. Down to 1.6 and there we go. You can see not only the McLaren but his teammate ahead of him. Look at that, you've got like 3 or 4 cars ahead of them.
Looks like we're building a classic JBL train.
That definitely wouldn't surprise me.
He's doing a good job defending against Anthony Barry. He's having a few problems getting past him. It's very, very tricky to overtake in these conditions. Very tricky indeed.
Absolutely, and Waddington, as a result of that, he's closed in. He's down to 1.8 seconds. And that gap continuing to fall again. Waddington will be determined to try and get through this train as quickly as possible. Looks like things have started to settle down after that chaotic start, especially Waddington's electrifying start from 18th. He's now up to 8th, and he's bearing down on this JBL train. And as I say that, JBL gets a 3-second penalty. Waddington is definitely pulling away from Owen Lewis. And Oliver Sonnen starting to lose touching distance for this battle for 5th between JBL and Anthony Bauer. But you've got to think...
Yeah.
You've got to think with the situation right now, this is working to the Red Bulls' advantage, because as long as they can keep Phillip Nilson behind them, not only will they cut his lead down in the Drivers' Championship as Dean Barry gets a 3-second penalty, not only will they close the gap to Phillip Nilson in the Championship, for the Drivers' Championship, but they'll also be one step closer to winning the Constructors' Championship. Not today, but potentially USA at the very earliest, as Anthony Bauer has a go at JBL. And he's going to get through without much difficulty. There he goes, he's through. Through with ease. JBL, Starbot
JBL
still
doesn't
side
give
by
up.
side. Oh my word, they almost touch. But Bauer, crucially,
That's good.
able to get ahead and keep JBL behind through that chicane. And all of a sudden, now on the back of JBL.
He's gaining a lot of time on that. He's just quite clearly not got enough downforce on that car for these conditions. So he gains a lot of time on that straight, but then really struggles through the second sector. Just really not able to get any power down at all.
Yeah, and as a result of that, Waddington is closing the gap. Because of that, Arthur Bowler, meanwhile, he's 9 seconds ahead of Piccolo in second place.
Yeah, probably hoping there isn't a safety car. That's probably his biggest contender right now, is the safety car rather than anyone else.
Absolutely.
Still all 20 drivers going though. That's kind of impressive.
And bearing in mind, every time we've said that this season that we've had a full grid of cars still running, we've had at least 1 or 2 retirements.
Yeah, I have probably just jinxed it at this point, so apologies to whoever now retires.
Oh, White has had it off! Oh my word! And that's let Lewis through. My goodness! Oh, that is a horrible. That's not what Warrington would have wanted.
He's front wing damage as well.
Oh, that is. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, he's lost an end plate. That's the last thing he wanted. Anthony Bauer, meanwhile, he's right on the back of Chris Harley.
Yeah, Anthony Bauer might not be a fan of this track, but he is quite well known for being very quick in the wet. So now that he's got past JBL, he's kind of showing his pace now.
Owen Lewis there with a 3-second penalty. Bauer still on the back of Chris Harley. He managed to. Bauer trying to get through. Oh, he's almost got him. He's almost got him. Still side by side. Round the outside. Is he going to get it? Still side by side. Oh, this is touch and go.
Oh my word.
They almost touch, but Bauer gets through into fourth. But Chris Harley not giving it up. Oh, no. How did he avoid spinning that?
Oh, as well held. JBL's all over the back of him now.
Very well played, JBL.
JBL's making a move.
He's going to have a go into the stadium section. Oh my word, but Chris Harley shuts the door on him. Chris Harley just shut the door on him. My goodness me. A little further ahead, meanwhile, Arthur Bowler, 10.6, 10.7 now. Ahead of Piccolo. He keeps building a gap at this rate. He'll end up with a pit stop in hand. I think you've definitely got to think at this point the Bowler is going to be the one that wins the race today.
There's still a long way to go. Safety car instantly take away all of that advantage.
Absolutely, and we've seen it so many times. We've seen it a number of times this season already. And then this will be If Bowler does win tonight, it will be his fourth win of the season. A little further back, though, we've got Phillip Nilson. He's been stuck in 12th for quite a while, but he is closing in on Ivan for 11th place. Oliver Stone in 3-second penalty. and we've got Ken Helberstad in the chat. Philip closing in. Go Swedish Koenigsegg guy.
Or Ollie's make a move on JBL.
Into the stadium
JBL's
section. JBL goes wide, but can Ollie take him? He'll have the inside line. Almost wheel to wheel.
Lots of contact.
Still side by side. Oh my word! But Oliver gets through!
Oh, and Lewis is on the back of the screen now.
Tries he might. Nilsson still can't get past Ivan.
Caesar's all over the back of Elijah in Sector 2.
Now all the way down in 15th place. Let's check fastest laps at the moment. Unsurprisingly, Arthur Bowler fastest lap of the race so far. Cesar Lopez, interestingly, is the guy that's got the fastest lap outside the top 10. We're a third of the way through the race now. You've got to think this is going to cause a lot of issues for Nilsson as far as his hunt for the championship is concerned.
Got an Alfa Romeo off in the S's.
That's Griffin. Griffin's had an off. Phillip Nilson still trying to get past Ivan, but tries he might. Ivan doing very well to defend from Nilson. And he's actually, and in a way, he's actually helping the Red Bulls as a result of this. Arthur Bowler going faster and faster still. You've got to think with how long Nilson's been behind Ivan, you got to think this is frustrating to Phillip Nilson.
Yeah, he is. I used to race with him in X2 when he first joined, and back then he used to struggle in the wet, so I don't know whether that's still a thing. Oh, it looks like he might make the move.
As I say that, is he finally going to get past? No, Ivan still keeps him behind.
Oh.
Irving Diaz, another 3-second penalty. Anthony Bauer, meanwhile, look at this. Look how that. He's definitely closing in on Hanil Patel. Closing in on a podium position here. Bauer closing in on Patel. He got a great run down the main straight. Patel trying to break the slipstream. He's going to try a late lunge. Thinks better of it. Might have a run into the second sequence. Not quite. Oh, yellow flag to sector 2. It's one of the Toro Rossos. It's Irving again. And Dean Barry gets past as a result. Is that more front wing damage for Diaz? Yes, it is. It's another front wing. Jack Smith into the pits. Clean as you like. And oh, wait a minute! Callum MacArthur had a look at Phillip Nilson! And as a result of that, that has stopped Phillip Nilson from bearing down on Ivan. Ivan's going to have a bit of breathing space for now. But now Nilson's got Callum MacArthur behind him. Meanwhile, a little further ahead, Anthony Bauer going to have a go into turn 1 for Hanil Patel. This for a place on the podium, and he gets through with ease. Waddington in the pits, as is MacArthur. Fresh sets of inters for them. Should get to the end of the race on them. And look at it, and look at this, a little further ahead, Arthur Bowler is 15 seconds ahead of the pack. He's almost got a pit stop in hand. Looks like Patel's in the pits. Indeed, he is. So Bauer's now got some clean air. He's a couple of seconds down the road from Piccolo. JBL in the pits. Owen Lewis in the pits. Anybody else going to follow suit? Jorge elects to stay out. Ivan and Phillip electing to stay out as well. Lopez and Booker into the pits now. Waddington starting to work his way back up through the field. There we go, race leader in the pits. Arthur Bowler is in the pits. The Piccolo responds, as does Bauer. The three of them coming. What about Chris Harley? Is he going to come in? As does Sonnen. Top 5 are in. Is Jorge going to come in now? Oh, and Oliver Sonnen, 5-second penalty for colliding with Chris Harley.
Yeah, he crashed into the back of him a little bit going into the pits.
Unlucky there. Phillip Nilson elects to stay out just a little bit longer. Up into 4th now. I doubt that's going to do much for him. And Ivan serving a penalty. And Waddington, lo and behold, there you go. Fastest lap of the race. Waddington back into the top 10. Only Phillip Nilson that hasn't made a stop yet. Yep. Nilson, the only driver yet to make a stop. Bauer closing in on Piccolo now. We're on to lap 19 of 36. Arthur Bowler has led practically from the start. Nilson does come in now. 19 laps on those intermediates. He'll be on the freshest set of tyres out of everybody. Phillip Nilson down to 12th.
He's managed to leap Ivan through the pits though. He'll be happy with that.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Bauer trying to work out how he's going to get past Piklu. The gap now 16 seconds between Bowler and this battle for second place. And Bowler, fastest lap again. There's no stopping him with his wet weather pace. I think this goes to show he's got great qualifying pace around this track, but he's also a great all-rounder on race day as well.
I was having a look on the outside. He's gone for it.
He might make it stick.
Contact.
He might make it stick, and he does! But now he's got to close up a 17-second gap between himself and Arthur Bowler if he's going to have any chance of taking the win. But you've got to think of...
Owen Lewis just nearly crashed into the back of JBR. That was super close.
But you've got to think this is going to work to Red Bull's advantage in the Constructors' Championship, because with a strong result like this today, will only put them at the very earliest one race away from wrapping up the Constructors' title.
This race could still get turned on its head.
Absolutely. Dean Barry in for his stop. Caesar, 3-second penalty. I don't think Waddington will be overly concerned in regards to Sony, because he'll know that and he's got two. Oh, and Oliver's got 2 penalties actually. He's actually got 3 penalties for Sonnen. Lewis has a penalty as well. Providing Waddington doesn't have any penalties. He's just got a warning. Waddington could very well see himself move up a couple of places. And don't forget, folks, we've got more XRL action tonight. We've got X3 from 7, and then we've got the X2 rounding up the night at 8. And Anthony Bauer, fastest lap of the race at 27.4. Ruben Diaz, another 3-second penalty. Ivan with a 3-second penalty as well.
Phillip Nilson making a move into the first corner.
He's going to go for
inside.
it. Gets through with ease.
Easily through.
Oh,
He's
well,
coming
to
back.
say that. Oh, spoke too soon. Callum. Oh, my word.
Oh.
And Callum keeps Nilson behind. Phillip Nilson trying every trick in the book to try and finally make some progress through the field. But try as he might, he somehow still can't get through. Nilson going to have another crack at Callum MacArthur. This time goes on the
Try around the outside.
Got so much more space, and this time he gets through. Finally, he'll be thinking to himself, finally, I managed to gain a place on track. It's a penalty there for Griffin. "19 seconds the gap between Bowler and Bauer. I think you got to think it's Bowler's race to lose now at this point.
Yeah, he's driving in a very kind of chilled out manner. He doesn't look like he's under any pressure at all. Really.
And you got to think psychologically that plays to your advantage as well, because if you're driving as relaxed as this, that's definitely got to bode well. That's definitely got to bode well for your race performance.
Yeah, I mean, driving in the wet is all about keeping it smooth, not oversteering, not over throttling the car. So driving in that kind of chilled out manner is very, very good for this, and you can see as he just keeps pulling away.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a 20-second gap. He's got a pit stop in hand over Anthony Bauer. I mean, he could play the showmanship move and take the pit stop and still come out ahead of Bauer, but that's not his driving style.
No, I think he'll quite happily just finish the race with that gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice little battle developing for 6th.
Yeah, we've got the return of the JBL train.
Very good.
The JBL train's back. This time it's Owen Lewis and Oliver Stone in.
JBL's in the pits.
JBL's in the pits. That's interesting. Now, why would he come in now? And that puts Waddington up into 8th.
Some wing damage. No, he's not changed his wing.
Fresh set of tires. I think he's going for the fastest lap. That's an interesting move. And that, as a result of that,
can't imagine that is.
That's put Nilson. That's put Nilson into the points.
I only think that was some kind of mistake.
It'd be very bizarre.
Well, he's made it. Whoa!
Oh my word! Oh no, it's Caesar. Caesar's had it off, and Oliver Stone's had it off, and Waddington up into 7th now. That is going to be a massive hammer blow for Phillip Nilson's champion. This race, given the fact that Nilson missed
the points though.
He's in the points, yes, but with Bauer, the closest threat to Nilson in the championship mathematically, that second place for Bauer is going to give Nilson's championship chances an absolute hammer blow. And I'm not talking one of your regular tool hammers, I'm talking massive Triple H sledgehammer levels of destruction.
Oh, is it McLaren in the wall?
Oh, dearie me. Oh, that's one of the McLarens. It's Ivan. Oh, my word. More end plate damage, and he's actually got quite a fair bit of damage on the McLaren, actually. Meanwhile, Waddington, half a second behind last season's championship rival Owen Lewis. Ivan into the pits. 5-second penalty. He'll be going for another set of inters. He might as well go for the fastest lap outside the top 10. Is Waddington going to make another dent in Nilson's championship advantage? Because as it stands, Nilson's only going to get 1 point today. I'm not sure what the penalty situation is going to be like. But we'll see what happens. JBL with another penalty. We've got to think there's going to be a lot of penalties at the end of this race. Nilson will actually end up gaining a place or two once penalties are taken into account. And once that happens, that might actually help soften the blow in his advantage over Waddington, but it's not going to make that much of a difference for the challenge from Anthony Bauer. Waddington's still trying to find a way past Lewis, but I don't think he'll be concerned about that because Lewis has already got a penalty or two under his belt already. Yes, he does. He has a penalty. He already has a penalty, so Waddington will go up into 6th as it stands on penalty countback. But does Waddington have any penalties? I don't think he does. No, he's only got the one warning. We're on to lap 30 now. I think Waddington will want to have that catharsis of actually overtaking Lewis on track rather than relying on the penalties. But Waddington is a smart man. He plays the Prost game very, very well. So much more straight line speed than Lewis, especially down this main straight.
Amazingly, the 20 cars still running.
And we've got 6 laps to go now.
No safety cars, no major dramas. It's pretty impressive stuff.
The only major dramas we've had have been the first couple of laps of the race, but that's been about it. Apart from that, it's just been action all the way, with overtakes galore. Irving, another 3-second penalty.
You can't be a million miles away from being disqualified.
Absolutely. Warrington still trying to work out how to get past Owen Lewis. Still not quite close enough to make any sort of impact.
JBL's just trying to make a move on Kyle McCarthy going into first corner.
Here we go. Irving Diaz, 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane. Surely not. He's coming in for there'll be another front wing change by the looks of it.
Oh, contact between MacArthur and JBL.
And JBL gets through. And it looks like Diaz was serving a penalty in the pit lane. Warrington still trying to work out how to get past Owen Lewis. He's got a good run. He's got a much better run than previous laps out of the final corner. This could be his opportunity. Yellow flag to sector 1. Surely not Diaz again.
I think it's just getting out of the way.
Yeah, there it is. 3-second penalty for Ivan. And Waddington, there he goes, he's through! Waddington into 6th! That is surely going to give him a lot of momentum. Because that'll be it won't be much, but it is 8 points in his hunt for the championship. He'll close the gap by 7 if things stay the way they are at the moment, and that's without taking penalties into account. Does Chris Harley have any penalties, come to think of it? Yes, he does. He does have a penalty. If Waddington can close that gap to under 3 seconds, he may leapfrog into 5th, and that will give him 10 points. Just need to wait and see how it all plays out. Phillip Nilson, meanwhile, on the back of Holgate for 9th place. Phillip Nilson, he's going to have a go into turn 1. Cool as you like, into 9th. Cool as you like. Oh, it's another penalty for Irving. He's going to need to be careful. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that's going to top Arthur Bowler for driver of the day. He's just been, you've said it yourself, really calm, really focused. He's led practically from the start. Took advantage of the chaos at the start as well, and there we go. He's led from start to finish practically.
Certainly with the midfield, I think it's going to be a case of oh my god,
Waddington's in the pits. What happened to him? What happened there?
I think he crashed into the pit lane. He he'd lost the back end coming around the last corner and slid into the pit lane. I don't think he meant to go in.
Oh, that's an absolute... Oh, that's a hammer blow for Waddington, and that's put him out of the points. He will be...
Phillip Nilson up to 8th.
He will be livid with himself. Because that's put Nilson into 8th. I think Warrington's on the verge of accepting that, yes, he is going to lose the championship this season. I think he may have to accept he's going to need to play the wingman role to Anthony Bauer to help Bauer take the championship. Bauer's had a very good race here as well, actually. Starting in 10th up to 2nd. He's did well to move through the pack. Absolutely. He's like Bowler. He's got great race pace in these sort of conditions. He didn't have the best of qualifying positions, but at the end of the day, here he is on the verge of making a huge dent in Nilson's championship hunt. And Oliver Sonnen trying to get past Owen Lewis, but it's not.
There's the Toro Rosso on the wall. It's Irvin Diaz.
Again, and you've got to think with it.
Yeah, his front wings come off.
And you've got to think with just one lap to go. Oh yeah, it's gone completely. And you've got to think with one lap to go, surely there's no point in coming in. Surely he's gonna try and finish. Surely he's gonna try and finish in front of his home fans.
Ollie into stadium section. Oh, he's made contact with Aaron Lewis.
Another 10-second penalty for Irving Diaz. He's got to be careful here, and oh, he's almost in the wall. Nevertheless, coming through the S's for the last time today is Arthur Bowler. It'll be his 4th win of the season. And his 4th X1 win of his career. Warrington gets past Callum MacArthur meanwhile. But Arthur Bowler, a dominant performance in the rain, takes the checkered flag and wins the Mexican Grand Prix. A stellar drive. An absolutely stellar drive from Arthur Bowler. Here comes Bauer, comes through in 2nd. But Matt Piclu, what a performance he had as well, into 3rd place. Anil Patel 4th. Chris Harley into 5th. Now we'll see what happens here. This is where the penalties come into play. And Nilson up into 6th.
Oh, he takes 8th.
He'll be very happy with that for his home race.
Cesar Lopez. Get on penalties.
Is he going to get into the points? Not quite. And Warrington takes the fastest lap at the end. Fastest lap right
Warrington
to the
up
death.
to 9th.
Warrington does salvage some points. And oh no! On the last lap, Irving Diaz disqualified. We were so close. We were so close to getting all 20 drivers to finish.
Unbelievable.
Just a handful of corners. And and Warrington seeing that he had to pit again because his tyre blew up. That is brutal.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That is brutal. But Arthur Bowler wearing the Mexican flag for this race. The Mexican fans will be very happy with that. But regardless, that was another action-packed race. So let's just recap the order, the race results. We've got Arthur Bowler with a dominant win. Anthony Bauer second. Matt Piccolo rounding up the podium. Hanil Patel fourth. Chris Harley fifth. Phillip Nilson sixth. Great recovery drive from him despite not doing qualifying. Owen Lewis seventh. Jorge eighth. Waddington managing to salvage a couple of points. Then Oliver Sonnen, Callum MacArthur, Cesar Lopez, JBL, Michael Booker, LeBlanc, Dean Barry, Ivan, Jack Smith, Griffin, and Irving Diaz. Absolutely incredible race. Oh my word. How do you find words to describe an action-packed race like that?
Yeah, it's tricky. It was never disappoints, X1.
Absolutely. As they've had plenty of action-packed races all the way. Will that continue next week? Because as it stands, Red Bull could wrap up the championship as early as next week in USA. But nevertheless, that's it for the X1 this evening. We've got X3 starting very shortly, and then we've got X2 from 8. So Matt, thanks very much for joining me in the commentary box.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks to everybody at home for watching. We'll see you guys next week as we head to Austin, Texas for the Circuit of the Americas, the United States Grand Prix. But until then, it's good night from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.